Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a sixth sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chain. Can't control me. I got the power.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Dauber.
And I'm the X Factor.
This seems like a whole lot of fun, Dauber. Thanks for convincing me to do this, guy. Thanks, man. Appreciate this. This is going to be a blast covering this basketball program. Oh my gosh, we'll let some people flood in here in the chat. We'll get things rocking and rolling. Look, this is how we're going to cover basketball. It's going to be makeshift. We're going to go live on Sundays. If there's a game on Sunday, we'll do it as a post-game show. If there's not, we'll probably do it at like 7 o'clock, but we'll always let you guys know what the schedule is going to be. But today, just an absolutely embarrassing display of basketball. It was a train wreck, a disaster from start to finish. Xavier, start to finish. Opening thoughts, quick thoughts. We can talk a little bit about the Tennessee Tech game today too, but just opening thoughts on what took place today.
Well, right there you just said it. I had a little bit more concerns about today's game from looking at that Tennessee Tech game. Looking back on that Tennessee Tech game is that, I just think the team was just settling too much on the three-point line, and I get it. Rick Barnes, I mean, as much as I love him as a coach and stuff, I do question in some of his coaching style. But, I just think just today, even from that game, they settled from three. I mean, they were 4 from 21, and that's just way too many shots attempts from the three. Even going into this game, I still think that they just settled too much on the three-point line, and give credit to Colorado, they just attacked us into the paint. We couldn't drive into the paint, so it is what it is.
Yeah, that much the same thing right there. They got worked on the glass tonight, out rebounded 47-38. And you talked about the offensive woes. The 3-point shooting, 27%, shooting from the floor, 16 of 63. So shots just weren't dropping, and that's one thing if you're going to play a great defense. But this afternoon, I just don't think the effort was there on the defensive end for this team as well. And if you're not going to shoot the ball well and you're not going to play defense well, then you're going to get ran out of the gym by a team that lost to Grambling on Friday. Like you said, hats off and credit to Colorado for bouncing back after getting embarrassed by, I don't even know what Grambling is. They're a lower division, a team that had no business beating Colorado, just like, even though Colorado's a Power 5 team, Tennessee should have dominated this game, and it just wasn't there. It does leave a lot of questions moving forward for this team. For me, I think the biggest one is, and it seems to be a theme for Rick Barnes' coach team, who's going to be the alpha, who's going to step up and be a leader of this team. You've got Vescovi, who was thrust upon, got off the plane after coming to this country and put in the starting lineup a couple years ago, and has, played well, but he didn't seem to step up and take that role on last year. You got Ziegler as a sophomore. He came in and was an electric, part of the team last year. You've lost Fulkerson. You've got Josiah Jordan-James, your 5-star who hasn't really ever, shown the talent that that 5-star rating that he had coming in. He's had games here and there, but the consistency hasn't been there. And then the other big thing that I think will be an issue moving forward with this team is just the play in the paint. I know you got some big guys now, and that's been a problem with Tennessee in the past, just size-wise in the paint when they go up against a true post player. But, man, I just think that's a real issue and something that Barnes doesn't seem to address in recruiting and getting guys in.
Let's run down the chat. We do have almost 80 people watching live right now. Guys, do us a favor, smash the thumbs up. Share this link out. I know it is what it is. It's basketball. It's November. The football team's hot. I know the chat's going to be down. But if you guys want more basketball coverage, we got to get the viewership up. So share the link out. Let's grow this live chat. We're not going to do this show every week. That's what we were talking about right before we went live. Tennessee plays Florida Gulf Coast next week. We're not going to do a live stream on Sunday and talk about Florida Gulf Coast. But if the viewership stays up, we'll bring you guys more shows on Sundays. Usually probably going to be about 7 o'clock. But let's run down the chat, see who's hanging out. Will Murley in the house saying, hope Euros is okay. And that just goes along with what Dauber's talking about there. There's no inside presence at all on this basketball team. And your one big guy goes down, rolled the ankle. So we'll see what the update is there. Coach Heupel's cough says, look like we're playing a pickup game at the park. It was embarrassing, man. It was embarrassing start to finish. Robert Tuck's in the house. Donovan's here. Let me hit these super chats. Donovan had a couple of super chats. Thank you for the $5. Said give Colorado credit. They played better. I put this loss on Josiah and Santiago. Tennessee is too talented and have too much pride on defense. Ridiculous. John Hill for 10. Thank you for super chat, man. The inside game is going to have to magically appear. I don't think it's going to ever show up. I don't. John says we can't live off the 3-point attempts. I'm going to come back to that here in just a second. John, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you letting us have a basketball show, John. If you hadn't shown up, I have no idea what we were going to do. We appreciate it. Donovan with another 5, throwing some heat at the X Factor, says, Xavier, you're great on here, but hell no, this is not on Rick Barnes today. The seniors have to play better. It's on them. Let's go. You can respond. Go ahead and respond to it.
Oh yeah, I'm about to say no. Listen, look, it's not Rick Barnes' fault. That's that comment that I said previously. That's not. Yeah, I'm not aiming everything at Rick Barnes, but because you have some veteran players on this team that Dauber just mentioned. That like these guys got to step up. This is not like their first year going into this game. So no, you got some veterans on this team that just somebody's got to step up and be that leader and just take full charge.
But you're talking about a basketball team that is coming off of a 27-win season, undefeated at home a year ago, tournament champions, returned 4 out of 5 starters, 5 out of their top 7 scorers. So, Dauber, when you talk about looking for a leader, you shouldn't have to look very far when you're returning 4 out of 5 starters. And I know basketball is obviously a different animal than football, but you're talking about freshmen, sophomores. Hey, some guys are one and done. You got to if you're returning 4 out of 5 guys on a 27-win basketball program from a year ago, you shouldn't have to be looking for a leader.
You would think so, and it's hard to say. We talk about the same thing in football. These coaches see every day out on the court and on the field. That's why they're making decisions on who's starting, who's coming off the bench. The thing is, there is a lot of talent on this team, up and down the bench. A whole lot of talent, more talent than should go through a game like they went through today. And I get what Xavier's saying. It's not necessarily, Barnes doesn't. He's not out there shooting the 3. He's not. But at the same time, call a timeout. Draw a play. Tell them, hey, don't shoot it outside anymore. It's not falling. Let's figure something else out. Just the ball movement was lacking today. It was just let's hack it up. And I know you get down by 8, 9, 10, double digits, and you are chasing points in the last 5 5 minutes or so of the game. So that balloon out of control there. But even before those shots later in the game, it was still bad. And same point. It was the same thing against Tennessee Tech. I sent my buddy a message. I was like, man, it's live by the three, die by the three, like it has been the last couple of years for this Tennessee basketball team. And when you're on, it's good. But when you can't hit the broadside of a barn door, it makes for a game like today. So.
But that's for me is where it does fall back on Rick Barnes, because he doubled down on it after the Tennessee Tech game. They specifically asked him about it, and he said, we're going to shoot the ball. We have talented players. We're going to shoot the ball, and not just shoot it. They're talking about the 4-point line. That's what Rick Barnes said in his media appearance. He said the 4-point line, that we're going to take shots from beyond the NBA 3-point line because that opens up the floor, gives us more space. That space doesn't mean anything when you just come down and chuck up threes. I feel like they never, and look, for the fans, by the fans. We're not experts. I'm not some basketball guru, but you can't just come down and chuck up a three. Why not a few passes? Move the ball around. Cut. Try. Like Dauber just said, for the love of God, try to draw up a play versus just coming down, running around, firing up a three, and going back the other way.
Well, and that's just the thing, too. There's only one man that walks on this planet Earth, and he plays in the NBA, is Steph Curry. He's one of the greatest shooters that I have ever seen. He's the one guy that can walk up half court, pull it up, swish it, get back on defense. I just feel like that this team is just – and I get it. Basketball is changing, and like you said, Boog, they are talking about having, the 4-point line, adding it to the league and stuff. But it's like I said, just every team has a different play style, and I just believe that we're just not built just to live and die by the three. Now, granted, if the shot is there, take it, but if not, you got to draw up some plays to try to get inside, get some penetration, and score inside the two.
But that's, you look at today, there were 16 of 63 from the field. So that's not dropping either. So
nothing was falling today.
It wasn't a good offensive showing this afternoon. And Boogie said in opening the show, this team went undefeated at Thompson Bowling last year. They played really good at home. They saw some struggles on the road, and you go to a neutral site like today. You look at last year when they played at Madison Square Garden. I think it was Texas Tech. Both teams struggled there. MSG's notorious for having horrible sight lines, and if you don't play there regularly, which very very few college kids get that opportunity, you can struggle. But there's something about these are on scholarship. They've played in gyms all across the country. If it's not working, figure something out on the same thing. That's the old saying. That's the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing and think something's going to change. And I'm all for these guys. If they're a shooter, you got to keep shooting. You forget the last one, you keep shooting, but at the same time, when the game's getting out of hand, you got 4 other people out there on the floor. You gotta figure it out. But saying all that, it is week 1 of the basketball season. This is game 2. The sky's not falling.
No.
Like I said, this team is a heck of a coach. He has probably forgotten more than the 3 of us will ever know, multiplied by whatever. Then it is going to get fixed. There's too much talent and too much good coaching in Knoxville. Conference play starts, and that's where you got to get stuff corrected by.
We got to get Dauber's internet corrected. That's what we got to get corrected. He's on that Gabe internet. It locked up. It's like, wait a second. Is he waiting on somebody to talk, or is he frozen?
That's me.
The Rick
Go ahead,
Barnes
Luke.
conversation, right? It's something that comes up every year. And again, the same thing talking about the team from last year. As great as that regular season run was, as great as the tournament championship was, you get bounced in the second round by Michigan. And I remember when Tennessee hired Rick Barnes and all the other fans coming in saying, yeah, congratulations, he'll be a great coach during the regular season. And then when March Madness rolls around, he's never going to make that deep run. He's never going to win the big one. And what is it about Rick Barnes coached basketball teams? You think the identity is defensive-minded teams, live or die by the three? Is it simply a matter of when you get to March and you get to March Madness, Xavier, you got to be hot at the right time? And that's why I think college football is the greatest sport on the planet, because we can't sit here and go, it's early. Yeah, it's early. Like baseball. Baseball is the same way, and I love college baseball. It's early. It doesn't matter. You'll learn from this. You'll grow from this. You'll bounce back. You're talking about a team that's got 4 out of 5 starters at return. This team is going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine. We'll see how it plays out. But what is it, Xavier, about Rick Barnes and March Madness? What are your thoughts on that? And do you just settle with what Rick Barnes does? Is he ever going to be able to win the big one?
And see, that's really a tough question, because for me, I mean, like I said, just Rick Barnes is and they talked about it earlier today, like in the broadcasting, is that they understand that he's more of like kind of like an old school kind of like coach. And I'm guessing just what it is that he's having a hard time trying to figure out how he wants to play his style of basketball, and that was even the conversation that we had, last season. It was like, okay, the change in tempo, it's like, okay, are you going to slow this down? Or are you going to pick it up? What's the game plan here? But, I mean, Rick Barnes, I mean, he is a good coach. Like I said, a regular season good coach. But as far as like getting it, done in the NCAA tournament, I think at this point now, I'm just to the point to where I'm just kind of like, okay, like Rick, you got to get it done this year, man. If not, then it's looking like a real exit for him. So,
well, I mean, you talk to any Texas fans, and like Boogie said, that's their complaint. Yeah, good coach can't get it done in the big games. A bit of a troubling trend, but at the same time, am I still? Can you hear me?
Every time you start talking, it freezes up and lags.
Man. All right, let me close that screen out. I had the box score up. I don't know if that was bogging it down. I think ESPN was looping a video on the screen, so maybe that was it. But I think to argue firing Barnes is, I don't think firing Barnes is even remotely a conversation that needs to be, you've got to define the team, and I think it does start with him. They have too much talent to lose a game the way they lost today, but it's I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to.
It's an impossible question, because here's the bottom line. Rick Barnes sucks in March. Let's stop sugarcoating it. Let's stop trying to be safe. Let's come out and call a spade a spade. Rick Barnes sucks in March. That's what it is. But he's a great regular season coach. He's a great man. He's a man of character. I love Rick Barnes as a person. So do we as Tennessee fans just accept the fact, hey, he may win a SEC regular season. He may win a SEC tournament championship, but he's probably never going to win that natty. And it's like, is that where Tennessee's basketball program is at? Because let me tell you something. If Josh Heupel becomes that guy, or Tony Vitello is probably even a better comparison after the way the season played out last year, right? It's all great, man. It's all great to dominate all regular season, win the SEC. It doesn't matter when you flake out when you get to the postseason. It does not matter. And if Tony Vitello, and look, I think Tony Vitello is going to win a national championship. I do. I think he is that good of a baseball coach. But that's the comparison. Are you satisfied with that? Are you satisfied if Josh Heupel gets to the college football playoff but can't win? At the same time, you don't want to fire a guy like Josh Heupel, Rick Barnes, Tony Vitello. We got 3 really good coaches when it comes to the big 3 men's sports. Do you fire them and start all over because Rick Barnes can't win in March?
I think Coach Heupel's cough said it earlier. It's the thing that's concerning is you've got the same issues that you saw last year. Some of the same things that you were concerned about have been repeating year to year, and even as the roster has turned over, it's still those same problems. It's still, it's fire up threes all game long, and if you're making them, hey, it's all good. If you're not hitting them, oh well. The thing about today is typically they've played really aggressive and tough defense. Today they were just, it wasn't there. It was all around a bad performance today.
Yeah, I mean,
really
that's
back and forth close.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say back and forth close in the first half. Well, they were up by 2 at the half, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But then second half, just it was dreadful.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just feel like in the first half, it's like when we started out kind of slow, but then I felt like that they had some kind of offensive tempo going on, and I was just like, okay, we're getting something going here. And it was just like in the second half, we were just ice cold. It's like we just disappeared from the face of the earth. Our offense just wasn't there. Defensively, we just wasn't there. I mean, it's just, like I said, just hats off to Colorado. They were the better basketball team today. But like what you said earlier too, Dauber, I mean, I really truly believe that, this team, there's too much talent on this team, and Rick Barnes is going to, plug and play. He's going to correct the mistakes and then see what needs to happen. And like I said, we're going to be just fine. I mean, the season's not over all because we lost to one game.
Right. I think moving forward, you've got to define your point guard.
Yes.
The just kind of throwing whoever out there and hoping it works out. I think that's part of the issues that this team has faced until Kennedy Chandler got going last year. It was an issue last year because he was kind of going through his freshman growing pains really all the way up about halfway through the season. And then he finally kind of things clicked for him and it started looking good. But, you look at the prior year, like I said, Vescovi playing out of position when he should really be on the wing. He was running point. And I think it's just that's the big key right there. I think you need to define who your point guard is, let them run the offense, and actually have an offense other than just hack a three. It's
right. And see, and I thought that's like how Ziegler was going to be like your main point guard because of his performance last season. I really love Ziegler. I mean, he's just that dynamic, explosive point guard. And like I said, and then like with Tyreek Key, I mean, like I said, like yeah, he does get his points. Like I do like his game is that he's able to create his own shot. He can get what he wants and stuff. But I just feel like he's more of like. He can be played as a big too, down low if he needs to. But yeah, I just think that, like I say, you're right. They need to find a point guard that can just run the floor, spread the floor, and then create some penetration within the paint. Because, like I said in that last quarter, I mean, we just couldn't get inside the paint to score. So.
Look at your starters. Your 5 starters today. Phillips 1 for 6 from the floor. Kamwa 1 for 8 from the floor. Euros didn't take a shot, rolled the ankle. Ziegler 4 for 12, and Ziegler, I think he made a couple of those shots late in the game there.
Yeah,
he seemed like he started. He seemed like he started to come on late, but just ran out of time. Vescovi 2 for 13 from the floor. It's just a circle going back to this team not finishing, not being able to get the ball in the net. And if they're hot today, they absolutely run Colorado out of Bridgestone Arena. It's not even a game if they get hot, and that's what makes it so frustrating to watch, man. It makes it so frustrating. Dauber brought up rebounds earlier. That was something that Coach Barnes was pissed about after the Tennessee Tech game, and then it was just worse against Colorado, 50-43 on the glass. Different. What was that? Different defensive outing too. You look at that Tennessee Tech game, man, and I know it's Tennessee Tech, but it's early in the year. Only 5 assists for Tennessee Tech earlier in the week, but that was just a dominating performance. Tennessee still didn't look good. I don't know, man. It's basketball. We'll see what this team turns into as they move forward. What do they got coming up? When's conference play start? December or January? I guess it's looking at the schedule.
I think it starts in December because I think it's when we play Ole Miss. So, yeah, that'll be like the first SEC conference play.
Yeah, December 28th they play Ole Miss. You got Arizona December the 17th. We'll see how this team responds. I like how the commentary team said that they wouldn't want to be a part of practice for the next couple of days. I'd say Tennessee's going to have some brutal practices. What do we got? We got 70 people watching live right now, guys. Make sure you smash the thumbs up. You want more basketball content? Help us grow this thing. Make sure you share it out. Put it on Twitter, Facebook. Let somebody know we're live. We're not going to do a live stream next Sunday, but we will do one the Sunday after they play Butler on November the 23rd. We'll do one Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I know it's going to be difficult to grow this thing, not doing post-game shows every week, but it is what it is. You guys want basketball coverage. This is the way that we can give it to you moving forward. X Factor, you're the basketball guy. Let me know what would you like to see this basketball team do moving forward? Like, do you think Rick Barnes is going to adapt, or do you think it's just going to be more of the same? And if they get hot, they win. If they stay cold, they lose.
Well, it's like what we've been talking about. I just want this team just to find their identity. I mean, it's just like the exhibition game with Gonzaga. I mean, just what I've seen was like really good Tennessee basketball. And that's what got me so excited to see these guys play this season. And I just wish that this team can just kind of just go back to that identity. But then again, too, like I said, Rick Barnes, he's got to figure it out, man. I don't know, but like I said, it's just his coaching style. I mean, like I said, that live by the 3, die by the 3. And like I said, I'm all for the 3 ball. Like I said, if the shot is open, you take it. But if you're being contested with the defender in front of you, then you got to find some way to spread the floor and just get points within the paint. So like I said, I mean, I'm not giving up on this team yet. I mean, like Dauber and me been talking about earlier, there's just too much talent on this team just to kind of just give up after a one loss. So, but yeah, I'm just looking forward for Rick Barnes to make some adjustments and just this team to find their identity.
But we keep talking about if it's open, take it, Dauber. If the 3's open, take it. But do you agree with that, to come right down the floor and just fire up a 3 ball? Or get set, man. Get set in your offense. It just seems like there's no set plays. And even fast break. What'd they have? I think 3 points. I know they flashed a graphic at one point late in the game. They had 3 points off of fast breaks. That's it. There's no transition.
There was one game last year where they didn't have any transition points. That's part of this team, and it's again, it's been a concern from the previous year, and it looks like it is this year early on. And don't get me wrong. All the negative that we've been talking about Tennessee had today, you've also got to turn it over and look at the flip side. Colorado, they were 27 of 62 from the floor, which is almost 44%, versus Tennessee's 25% from the floor. So Colorado was hitting shots, we weren't. And that goes to that just shows you the shooting troubles, shot selection, and just making shots offensively. But that also shows you defensively, we weren't denying passes. They got a lot of easy buckets, and it's hard to not give Colorado credit for taking to Tennessee, but what that shows to me is they weren't near as aggressive as they should have been on defense. And if they were more aggressive on defense, the rebounding discrepancy would also get tighter. So it's one of those things. You chalk it up, and because it is a long season, and because non-conference games are important, and I think, to me, what Rick Barnes does in scheduling these non-conference games and the scrimmage against Gonzaga, you're challenging this team. It's a good test early in the year, and it shows you what you need to work on, because at the end of the day, it's conference play that matters. So you've got to get those things corrected before the end of December, before you roll into the new year and start SEC play. And it is, week one. The sky's not falling. I think things will get corrected. And we'll see. We can talk more about Rick Barnes and his, does he get it corrected to get bounced before the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, or can this team put it together and make a run? I don't know. It's one of those things. I think this team, they really need to find an identity. That's the thing that I'm carrying forward from week one, what I've seen. You blow out Tennessee Tech, but you came away from that game with some questions. As Xavier said, it really kind of the score doesn't show the concerns of rebounding, the concerns of firing up all kinds of threes and not hitting them, which both of those, you saw what happens when you're playing a better quality opponent today and you fire up a bunch of threes and don't hit them, and you end up losing the game. So
yeah, because going into SEC play, like I say, if you're just chucking up just threes and they're just not falling, and then let's say, I'll just be honest, if this was Kentucky, we can only just imagine what that Kentucky sword was looking like, So that's why. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Sheboy is going to dominate Tennessee this year because they have no inside paint presence, and that's unless they're shooting 60% from 3-point in that game, I think they're going to run them out of Rupp. They're going to run them out of Thompson Bowling. Kentucky's going to work Tennessee this year.
Yes, I believe it. And then also another non-conference game that I did see on the schedule was against Arizona. Now, that one is definitely another true test to see what this team is about when you have Arizona coming into play, because you and me even talked about it last season, Dauber, during the tournament, because everybody thought that Arizona was going to go all the way and win it all the way. But they just fell short, but they are still a really good – they've always been a good basketball team. So, whenever we come to play Arizona, that's one's going to be a very true test for sure. And we'll just see how this team responds.
I'm multitasking in the background. We still got 60 people watching. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for the post-game show. I'm going to be going live. Going to take a break and come back. I'm going to play some NCAA tonight. I figured, why not? Why not? If we're going to go live early in the afternoon, might as well take a break, come back, play some NCAA. And we're going to be talking about Tennessee football. We're going to talk about the college football playoff rankings. We're going to talk about TCU beating Texas last night. Everybody's in panic mode. Everybody's freaking out. So come right back here in just a couple hours at 6:30. For a little NCAA. Also, make sure you guys go check out the merch, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. I never plug the basketball merch on the football streams. We got basketball merch. All of you that are hanging out, clearly, you're either miserable or you love basketball. I'm not sure which one it is, but we got basketball merch. You can go check it out at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. This one, Xavier, look at this shirt. Is this not a great design? You guys know I love NBA Jam. Got the arcade cabinet right over my shoulder. TBA Jam, that's Thompson Bowling Arena Jam. Talkin VAWLS edition. That's one of my favorite shirts. I don't know if we've even sold one. I think I may be the only person that owns a TBA Jam shirt. But again, you can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS.
Retro logo too.
What are you talking about? Yeah, nobody bought that shirt either. Nobody bought that shirt.
I've got a couple of them.
I love that Knoxville skyline. It had
not that one. The basketball.
We'll see do you see the name, Dauber, of that shirt design right there?
Oh,
what's that say, Dauber? What's that say?
I see. I was talking about the basketball.
Yeah, that's a clean. I like these shirts. These are clean. Yeah, I got a hoodie and a t-shirt with that logo. So go check that out. Again, bonfire.com/store/talkinVAWLS.
It's hoodie and beanie weather here right now.
Get you some of the State Pride too. Now I really love the State Pride shirt. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I've slept with it on. I've woke up with it. I mean, I love this shirt. I love
that logo is tattooed on 2 human beings right now.
So I was gonna say maybe you need to get you a tattoo of it.
Yeah, Xavier. Xavier, you got any tattoos?
Sadly, I don't.
There's a first time for everything. Talkin VAWLS State Pride tattooed on the X Factor. Sign me up for that. Coach Appleskoff says we don't put out that effort if we played Kentucky today. Do you guys do you think that offensively, I don't think you can use that as a selling point. I don't think you can use being cold and missing shots as effort. But Dauber, you talked about the defensive performance. I think you can maybe chalk that up a little bit to effort today against Colorado.
Yes and no. I think basketball is one of those that it's a little bit, because every game doesn't necessarily matter like football. There is sort of that mindset of who you're playing. It determines how much you get up for the game. But being in Nashville, neutral site game,
neutral site.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of orange there, and there was a lot of orange leaving early. Man, you'd think that you just get up to play because it's what these guys love to do. They beat Colorado last year. I've not had the Robo anymore, so I think
ever since you shut that down, it's been good.
I think it was having multiple screens open. I had last year's game up as well, the stats from it. Colorado's a good team. I think they made the tournament last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they did. I'm not sure.
If they didn't, they went to NIT. But anyway, they're middle of their conference probably is what they're expected to be. They're athletic. They play tough. They're coached well. It was impressive to see them turn around, 48 hours from getting beat by a team they shouldn't have got beat by, to play the way they did today. And I think maybe that you look at this Tennessee team probably saw, hey, Grambling beat Colorado Friday. It's going to be a cakewalk for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is one of those things. Coach Appleskoff, yeah, effort and focus. I think that was probably it, early in the year. I hope that was it, because I hope that there is more to this team than we saw today, because there is definitely more talent than was put on display today. So, you got a couple days to bounce back against a Florida Gulf Coast team that you should beat, and then be another tough matchup against Butler moving forward. But that's, like I said, it is early season. This is where you work out kinks, and this is where you find your identity. You kind of set your rotation. There's some stuff to figure out. So,
especially after winning, the SEC, last season. I mean, it's going to be a lot of teams looking at us as like, okay, you guys are the SEC champs. Today we did not look like no SEC champs. I will tell you that right now. But I mean, it's like what you and me have been saying, Dauber. I mean, this team will adjust. They'll focus up, and they'll get things situated.
I hope you're right, because I'm sitting here as a freaking pessimist saying, bullcrap. There's no excuses for finding yourself. Find yourself? You return 4 out of 5 starters. Like, you should know who you are. You should know your identity. And I know, there's more than just the starters, but I think that Key's been a bright spot, man. Coming off of the bench, he was leading scorer with Josiah Jordan-James, who I thought also was probably a bright spot today. I thought he played a decent basketball game. But Key led the team in scoring against Tennessee Tech. If I'm not mistaken, I think he led the team in scoring in that exhibition game, which, again, you're talking about that exhibition game and a big win, everybody's celebrating. Then we get into the regular season, you drop one to Colorado. I don't know. And look, hey, this is my first year talking about Tennessee basketball on air. It's always been Dauber, JP, Indy Kid. They've always done it. And maybe I'm too freaking emotional to cover basketball because I freak out and panic. Like, I know baseball. I know the sport. I love baseball. I know more about baseball than I know about freaking football. But football, if this was, you don't make excuses in football, right? This is dropping a game. I don't know how to even compare it. I think this would have been worse than if Tennessee had lost to Pitt. I mean, when you're talking about talent levels, what they say, the first time in 3 years that Colorado's beat a ranked opponent outside of their home venue. This is not a good loss for Tennessee. So, I get it. It's a long season, and Tennessee's going to be okay. The sky's not falling, as Dauber said. I agree with that. But this isn't still something that I'm ready to sweep under the rug and say, it's fine. It's fine. Maybe that's why I like football more than basketball.
You're talking about the middle of November versus the middle of February.
Get hot at the right time. That's basketball.
Yeah. So you can't press panic right now. You come back in a month and a half. If we're still having these same discussions, then I think you're, you've got to reprioritize your goals. The goals for this team are defend the conference championship, go compete for another, and make the tournament and get deeper than week 2.
But to play devil's advocate to that, have we not been having these conversations for multiple years under Rick Barnes? That's my point. Yeah. That's my point. It's the same old song and dance with Rick Barnes and his basketball program. And then, again, you're returning 4 out of 5 starters. So why should we be having these conversations? And I get it. The season's not over, but it's the way the game played out. It's like, here we go again. Here we go again. This team got cold, and they continued to chuck up the 3 ball all game long. Let's see. What were they? 10 out of 37, 27% from behind the arc. But it's even more embarrassing, 16 of 63 from field goal range. It's just I feel like these conversations have been had. Even though haven't been on air having them with you all, you all have been having them for years. So we'll see. Got a long way to go, X Factor.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's just that 50-50 thing. Like for me, I'm not saying as of right now, like, yep, just get rid of Rick Barnes. He's gone. He's out. For me, I guess it's okay. It's like, all right, Rick, like Dauber said, try to get us back to the SEC championship. We got to defend that. And then if you can just readjust and then get ready to going into March Madness, see where you take us in there. And honestly, we really should have at least to the Final Four. I mean, at least. I mean, I wasn't going to say that they were going to get there, but last year I think was like our best chance and effort to try to at least reach the Final Four, and he just couldn't get it done. So now, if you can't get it done this year, which, like you said, you're returning 4 out of 5 starters that are veteran and all SEC players, that's where you're going to start having those conversations like, okay, so, Rick, what are we going to do here? So, but, I say, go ahead.
I was just going to say, between the year that Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield kind of went off, and then last year, you've had some really, really talented teams, and you've got one conference or two. I guess you're co-champions one year of the conference, and you won the tournament last year. But you've not made a whole lot of noise in the NCAA tournament. So that's what is, that's the indictment of Rick Barnes, and that's, you talk to Texas fans, they'll be like, yeah, that we told you.
That's what they all said when Rick Barnes was hired. Every one of them.
Granted, he has shifted the narrative of this program, and Bruce Pearl had a couple of good years, but then this team or this program has kind of floundered. That they'll have some big wins, but it's, I think Rick Barnes has brought some stability, and you've made the NCAA tournament, I think 4 out of the last 5 years. It's one of those things, but the goal is a little bit further. Can he get us over that hump? And
yes,
it's that's one of those tough things. I mean, you've kind of tried that route, football, young up and comer, kind of, hoping to hit a home run higher. It is, it's one of those things. Like I said earlier, Rick Barnes is a great coach, but and he's done a lot for Tennessee. Tilly with the point right there. The recruiting is unlike anything Tennessee has ever done on a consistent basis. But with that said, you're not doing anything with the talent you're bringing in.
But that's why the conversation's so difficult. Right. Do you just settle? Do you just settle and say, hey, this is Tennessee basketball. We just accept it. It is what it is.
Anything else is icing on the cake.
We would not do that for football. We will do that for basketball.
And I was getting ready to say, well, also the whole recruiting thing is that, yes, I know we're talking about basketball, but do you think that basketball is having a little bit better in recruiting now? Because we just signed, like 4 players that are like 4 or 5 stars, which is great. But do you think that some of that momentum shifted from football over into basketball because of how successful that Tennessee's been winning?
Maybe, but basketball is different. It's different. And, you do have your kind of blue chip, blue blood schools. But then you look, South Carolina went to the Final Four a couple of years ago. Yet you had Auburn going. There is kind of that. It is get hot, at the right time, and you go on a run in March. You win 3 or 4 games in a row, and boom, there you are. Elite 8, Sweet 16, Elite 8. Win another. It is that survive and advance, and it is taking those early season lumps and growing, learning from them, and putting it all together. But on the same time, we are talking about a team that does have experience. They are an older team. They should know you got to get up to play any game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. We're over 45 minutes. I think that's going to be the goal. I think the goal is to go 45 minutes every Sunday. We will let you guys know the schedule. Here's the deal. We're either going to be doing basketball at 7 or I'm going to be playing NCAA and talking football at 6:30. It's going to be one or the other. We're never just going to, we're not going to do a Sunday show at all. But because of scheduling, that's the best way for us to do it. So it's kind of going to be kind of like a podcast, if that's what you want to call it, because it won't always be a post game. We're going to kind of recap the week. And I know we spent more time on Colorado tonight than we did Tennessee Tech for obvious reasons. But that's the way this thing is going to play out. If you guys want more basketball coverage, let us know. But the way you get that is you show up, you show out, you show love. If the chat doesn't grow, look, I want you guys to get what you want. You want us to cover basketball? I want to cover basketball. What makes logical sense? I can sit here and play video games and have over 100 people in the chat, or we can watch 6 hours of basketball and have 60 people in the chat. So that's not me being disrespectful. It's me being honest. We all have families. We all have lives. You guys asked for basketball, so we're going to try to give it to you. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if this thing grows. But I think we're going to shoot for about 45 minutes every Sunday. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that bell is rung for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or drop a video. Again, I'm going to go snap and clear, in the words of Butch Jones. I'll be back in about an hour. We'll be talking about the college football playoff. We'll talk about this Tennessee football team, and we'll play some NCAA and have some fun. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., myself and Gabe going to be bringing you the morning show. We'll kind of recap Missouri just a little bit. Eric Kane will be jumping on. Should be a good time. Tuesday night, fan call-in show, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Late night Talkin VAWLS. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Myself, Dauber, and JP will be on here. And then from there, we'll see what happens. We may do a Friday morning stream. We'll see. But that's going to wrap it up for Dauber, for the X Factor. My name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That we call